So to put this in standard form, again, whatever number is in front of the x, that's the number we're going to try and factor out. Here it happens to be a -2. And so the basic idea is, if you're struggling with this factoring out part, whatever it is that you try and factor out, so here they both happen to have a -2 in there, that makes it easier. But essentially what we're going to do is divide each term by whatever we just factored out. We're stealing that factor away and putting it on the outside. So if I divide -2x by -2, what's left? Just x. And if I divide -2 by -2, what's left? Yeah, 1. So that's how this would look in standard form. And we wrote out the steps yesterday. Let's run through it real quick. So there's no y stretch. Right? There's no a out in front. So we're not going to do that first. The first thing you might run across is this negative sign. What would this negative sign do? Yeah, it's going to reflect it, because it's inside, it's switching the x's, so across the y-axis. We'll call that a y-axis reflection. So anything inside the square root is going to affect the x's. The second thing we're going to do, we're going to take care of this 2. So this 2 is it's inside, so it's horizontal, and it's a horizontal what? Shrink, just like in the problem before. So instead of multiplying the x's by 2, we do the inverse of that, which is multiplying by 1/2. Then the third thing we run across is this +1, which means we go which direction? Yeah, left 1. Or in other words, we subtract 1 from all of our x values. And then this last thing is on the outside, so it's not affecting the x's, it's affecting the y's. And we're going to do what it says. We're going to add 2 to all of our y values. Or in other words, yeah, go up 2. Okay. And so again, we're going to use these same 4 points from the original graph, simply because they're easy points to graph, because they're whole numbers. Here's my original square root of x graph. And let's take these points one at a time and apply these 4 transformations. So, 9, 3. If I flip it across the y-axis, so in other words, if I change the sign of the x value, where's it going to be? Yeah, -9, 3. Now I'm going to horizontally shrink it by 1/2. Okay, so -4.5, 3. Now I'm going to move it to the left 1. -5.5, 3. Now I'm going to move it up 2 to -5.5, 5. Right there. So here's old D. Here's new D. Okay. We're going to try the same thing with the point C. So from 4, 2. First I'm going to flip it across the y-axis to -4, 2. Then I'm going to horizontally shrink it by 1/2 to -2, 2. So I'm multiplying the x value by 1/2 from -4 to -2. Then I'm going to scoot it to the left 1. So now it's at -3, 2. Then I'm going to move it up 2, so it's going to be at -3, 4. There's new C. And we'll do the same thing with B. So B was at 1, 1. We're going to flip it to -1, 1, shrink it to 1/2, 1, go left to -1.5, 1, and then go up to -1.5, 3. And we're going to do the same thing with 0, 0. Now for 0, 0, reflecting it and shrinking it don't do anything. But we can still move it to the left 1, and then up 2, to the point -1, 2. And now our graph is going to start from A, just like it did before. A is always going to be the starting point, at least for this graph, the way we named it. And it's going to continue through all of these other points with a slight curve, in this case off to the left, rather than off to the right. So, if I look at this function, I might want to know, say what kind of numbers could we plug in for x? What would our domain be here? From -infinity up to -1. So I can't plug in like 0 for x. Well, why not? What would happen if I do? What's 0 plus 1? 1, that's right. And then what's 1 times negative 2? And what's the square root of negative 2? Yeah, it's imaginary. And our graph only shows real numbers. So it would not be on the graph. So that's why this negative means essentially that we have to have negative values for this x plus 1 term. So it would cancel out this negative. So we get a negative times negative. So that's why our graph gets flipped around backwards. Now it's only going to work for negative x values. Okay, let's do this last one. Or at least we're going to write it out. Then I'm going to make you try it. So the first thing, let's try and write it as a square root function like we would actually encounter it trying to solve some sort of problem. So the negative 1/2 is going to be on the outside, and these big parentheses for the function represent the square root. And then we have this minus 2 that's going to be on the end. But it's always this inside part right here that we have to factor to try and put it in standard form. Let's see what's going to happen there. So what number do I have to factor out? What would be the coefficient in front of x here? Yeah, it'd be a 1/2. And so to figure out what's left over, which we did last time, but I want to make sure we all understand. So of course it's going to be an x because we took away the factor of 1/2. We divide by 1/2. And then what's 2 divided by 1/2? 2 divided by 2 is 1. So remember, if you're dividing by 1/2, that's the same thing as multiplying by 2. Yeah, 4. So it's going to be x plus 4. And if you don't believe it, double check. What would I get if I worked backwards and distributed that 1/2? I'd get 1/2 x, that's right. And then 1/2 times 4 is 2. Okay? So if you're not sure if you did it right, double check yourself. If I distribute there, I'm going to get back what I started with. So I'm essentially undistributing here. I'm factoring out something. So that's what it's going to look like. And once we have it in standard form, all we have to do is go from left to right with our shifts. So let's go ahead and jot down these shifts again. What would this negative do? Yeah, an x-axis reflection. In other words, it's flipping the y values. Second thing we encounter is the 1/2. What's that going to do? A vertical shrink. It's happening to the y values because it's outside. And because it's happening to the y values, it does what it says it's going to do. You multiply them all by 1/2. Then step 3, give it a horizontal, it's going to do the opposite, so stretch by 2 rather than by 1/2. There's x. Hey, how's it going, x? Now we get over here to 4. What's the 4 going to do? Left, 4, and then we get outside of the function, so we're looking at the y values now. So this negative 2 is going to do what? Yeah, down 2. We will subtract 2 from the y values. So again, start with these 4 points and try to do those 5 transformations for each of these points individually. That'll show you where the new graph is going to be. I think that's the easiest way to do it. If you learn some other great way to do it that you love, okay, fine. Just do it right. So take a second. Work on this together. Work it out.
It's still right. It's been right. Wash.
let's do this one. So first you're going to reflect across the x. Oh, yeah. And then we want to vertically shrink it down. And then we want to horizontally stretch it out.
That's gonna show on your face, Mister. Why do you say hold you and hold you? Yeah, he goes hold you. He goes. The second we go. Hold you. You know how this works. I want to see the. Numbers under that arm. Alright, we just have to do it with 4 2s. Alright, so that's 4 negatives. And then we want to particularly shrink so that's 4 negatives.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. Once you've mastered the square root of x function, I want you to flip to the back and try to do these same things with the absolute value function. Now, first, make sure that you can write these as they would look like an actual function, okay? And so, to help you with these shifts and stretches and whatnot, pick some points to use on the absolute value function. Now here you have lots of choices that are nice whole numbers, okay? So pick some that are going to be easy, like to cut in half or to double, things like that. Don't pick like I. Okay, so pick at least 3 points on there. You'll need 3 to get the right basic E shape. Preferably, this would be one of them. Okay. Give those a shot as well. And if you finish early and didn't do your bicycle homework, you can try that with the bicycle as well. Now, a couple of things I should tell you. Not everyone learned to ride a bicycle. So a couple of things I want to tell you, or else I'll forget. First thing, we're not going to have a test on Friday. We're going to do it on Tuesday instead. I was worried about trying to get it in before the end of the 9 weeks, before I realized that the end of the 9 weeks is actually the end of the 8 weeks, which is next Friday, so it wouldn't really matter anyway. Okay, so that's going to give us a little bit more time to learn some more stuff for the next test. So we'll do some stuff on Friday, we'll review some, and then we'll have the test on Tuesday. We will have a quiz over these sorts of things next time. So some of them might be functions, which I will not let you use your calculator for. And some of them will be things like smiley faces or bicycles, which you can't use your calculator for, because you can't type that in your calculator. Well, you can, but not easy. Okay. So let's work on these. While you're doing that, if you're stuck on something, come see me. I'm going to be back there putting in some quiz grades that I'm going to pass back in a second. So if I call your name, come get your quiz from me. Okay, so let's keep working on this. We will have a quiz next class instead of a test. Then a test. All right, a couple of things. I'm going to pass back another test, but a quiz. Sorry, another quiz. But if you finish all of these transformations, you can work on correcting stuff, so that you'll be ready to turn those in with the next test. I'm going to set out the solutions to that first test. I'm just going to set them on the back table by this turn-in thing. You can come back there. I don't have them posted yet, but you can take a picture and you can work on those. And then I'm going to pass back another test. And if you get stuck on anything, come back here and talk to me. Here are the quiz solutions.
Okay. So again, if you don't like your grade and you want to make a better one on the upcoming test, and you're done transforming things, then you can come back here and see what the right answers are and start over your corrections. Remember, to give you a touch place, you also need to have the homework done for this. Back here. Now we just think more nothing will that time.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Like, that looked like I'm doing this.
Finally, Godfather.
Part-time coach, full-time
Yes, she is. And she probably did stuff on it. Get yours. Yours. Get yours. That's custom. He's like dressed in 1890 dress.
trying to get everybody to check. I was like,
I smile.
just imagine like, no, it's just someone like not like you, but like soon as they get to the part,
I can see your picture of this.
the girls in the front. She's got her down. She's like, take on the
And physics is crust proportionate to retardation in the
It's just is what it is. You know it's true. It's actually. If she walks in the class, stood up in the corner of the room.
Well, you should definitely do it. You should learn it.
I say that.
Do it themselves. You gotta go.
So there can be one, but there's just no X.
So it can either, it can say hey, reflected across the line. It just doesn't actually change the graph. All right, so just in case you didn't know this, the end of the 9-week grading period is at the end of next week. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your grades. You don't have a whole lot of time if there are some grades that you need to bring up. Yes, there's also no school on Monday, which means when I said Tuesday about our test, I actually meant Wednesday. I forgot to. I don't have Monday off. So I'll be here if you need some help. Come by. Now, if you come, I'll help you out. So, what was I trying to say? Oh, yeah. So if there are any of those quiz grades that you're worried about and you don't want to wait and see what happens on your test, then come talk to me and I'll find something for you to retake it before the test. If you're worried about getting those quiz grades up, I'll give you a retake of those quizzes if you want, if you don't want to save it for the test. Okay? If you're trying to get those last few points and you're worried about it, then I'll find something for you to do. Okay? Oh yeah, this is going to be a really good video. An hour and 2 minutes. Okay.
Material possessions.
Well,